Fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Nothing beats a great burger to help celebrate the 4th of July, and at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we couldn't agree more. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then now is your chance to sink your teeth into one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers for half price. Our Zone deal this week gets you $50 worth of delicious burgers made with premium Angus beef for just $25. Log on 977ESPN.com beginning Friday morning and get your Bad Daddy's Zone deal before they're gone.
Oh, yes, Miss Garner.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles everywhere.
Really? My airline credit card only gets extra miles on some types of purchases.
And you can use Capital One Venture Miles on any travel purchase. Plus, earn 100,000 bonus miles when you spend $20,000 in your first year.
Venture gets an A+.
Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Limited time off.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama.
Alabama!
Your home of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Our newest wrecks, Bob Wade and Northgate. That one went out as an injury type, but Hamsey canceled everybody, says no injury. Single vehicle off the road. Parkway southbound between Oakwood and University had a pedestrian hit by a vehicle. That one's clear. 72 eastbound at Moore's Mill had injuries. It has been cleared. Want to get discounts on programs like the Wise Camp Chalaki at Lake Guntersville? You can pay no joining fee and start your summer body today at the YMCA, Huntsville, and Madison. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We should start the day with a fair amount of cloud cover, maybe a couple of early morning showers across the Tennessee Valley, but a lot of that activity will come to an end, and eventually we'll get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine, though temperatures are going to be a little cooler behind a cold front. Highs only hanging out in the mid-upper 70s. Some of us may creep into the lower 80s, but I'm more confident that many of us finish the day in the mid and upper 70s, dropping into the mid-upper 50s as we head into the overnight. More sunshine for your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This Action Update is brought to you by Keeps. Tired of losing your hair? Get 50% off for your first order at Keeps.com/VSiN. Keeps.com/VSiN.
Tonight, Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers at the Suns. Phoenix is 6-point home favorite. The over-under 224. Suns lead the series 1-0. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow with the Bucks a 7-point favorite at home over the Hawks. The Stanley Cup semifinal series tied 2-2 between the Canadiens and the Golden Knights. Game 5 tonight. Vegas minus 240 on the money line. Montreal at plus 200. The over-under 5. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3 will go down in Las Vegas on July 24th. Opening odds have Fury the favorite at minus 300. Wilder plus 235. This is the first time in the trilogy that Fury is favored to win.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Just like that, we do say welcome in. It is another brand new live edition of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Welcome into another brand new edition on this Tuesday morning. Yes, it is a Tuesday, a wet start to your day wherever you may be headed on this Tuesday, whether it be to work, wherever you may be going. We wish you wherever you're at. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We welcome your thoughts, your opinions on this Tuesday morning. What do we have got to get to today? Obviously, the Supreme Court sides with athletes yesterday. Big story. That is a big story. And how college athletes can be compensated, and it could open the door for more legal challenges. And in 10 days, we get the name, image, and likeness. Where do we stand on that? We are 10 days away. July 1st was when we usher in name, image, and likeness. When you wake up on July 1st, name, image, and likeness will be here. But there is a lot that is going to happen between now and July 1st. Just because the states have passed this name, image, and likeness, there is a lot of check marks, a lot of different flowing parts, and the SEC is having a big voice in what things are going to look like and what they hope things are going to look like come July 1st. It is a lot, and we're going to do our best to just kind of chisel away at this and make it make sense the best that we can, because there's a lot of layers to this, a lot of pieces to it. We're going to break down, obviously, last night's action from the College World Series. What a game between NC State and Vanderbilt. We said the ballpark there at TD Ameritrade was going to play different, and how would it affect the Tennessee offense? Because Tennessee, coming into their super regional, they were just hitting the long ball. They were exploding. The ball was exploding off the bat for Tennessee. What we didn't talk about was how maybe the NC State pitching would affect the Vanderbilt offense. Now, Vanderbilt's pitching yesterday, Jack Leiter, was phenomenal. He did everything he could in 8 innings. Everything he could. Struck out 15. Only gave up 1 run. Vanderbilt's offense went whoop. It disappeared. And they are now in the losers bracket as they fall to NC State 1-0. We'll talk more about that. Problems for Tennessee and freshman quarterback Caden Salter and an offensive lineman, Amari McNeil. Last week we talked about who has the toughest schedules in the SEC. Today we're going to take a look at who has the most favorable schedules in college football. There are 5 teams that have favorable schedules in college football. And if you look at these 5 teams, oh boy, they could crash the playoffs because of said schedule. And then who in college football, what are the 5 teams in college football that are the furthest away from competing for championships? These 5 are big 5. They're not just middle-of-the-road programs. Rivals is telling us these are the 5 teams that are the furthest away from competing for a championship. Some of them have won national championships in the past, and now they say they are the furthest away from winning another one in college football. One is in the SEC. One is in the ACC. 2 is in the ACC. One is in the Big Ten, and one is from the Big 12. Kind of funny. There's not one team in the 5 that are there from the Pac-12. Not one team from the Pac-12 makes this list. It's only 5 teams, but still, not one team makes the list from the Pac-12. Just how much of a shortfall financially did Alabama experience last year due to COVID? Greg Byrne opened up a little bit on this. We'll read you what he had to say, plus his thoughts on name, image, and likeness. It is a great conversation that Aaron Suttles had with Greg Byrne. Great conversation. And we'll kind of read you some of Greg Byrne's remarks. Auburn lost a wide receiver. We didn't get a chance to mention this yesterday in the show, But Auburn lost a wide receiver to the transfer portal before really practice begins. Something we've not had a chance to go over. The Atlanta Braves had a chance to take 2 from the New York Mets yesterday. They ran into Jacob deGrom in Game 1. Don't feel bad because everybody is running into Jacob deGrom these days. They did get a split. We'll break it down. Where does it mean? What does it mean? Where do they stand in the standings after the split? Florida's Dan Mullen grabbed some talent out of the state of Alabama. Will he ultimately sign with the Gators? We'll go over that as well. But don't forget, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning. We are 74 days away from the start of the college football season. We are just 67 days away. Actually, 67 days away. My bad. From the start of the college football season. 74 from Alabama getting started. And Auburn getting started. 74 days away from Alabama taking on Miami in Atlanta. And then at the same time, too, we are just 74 days away from Auburn ushering in the Brian Harsin era, taking on, I believe it's Akron, in Game 1. So we are quickly approaching college football season. But yesterday, the NCAA, the Supreme Court came out 9-0. Unanimous vote. We don't see that a lot in the Supreme Court. Usually they all don't agree on everything, but they did yesterday. Okay, the decision concerned only payments and other benefits related to education. But its logic suggested that the court may be open to a head-on challenge to the ban by the NCAA on paying athletes for their participation in sports that brings billions of dollars in the revenue. Okay, throughout the 115-year history, the NCAA has largely defended the principle that student-athletes should play sports as amateurs. But yesterday, the Supreme Court said, okay, enough is enough. You know, educational things like laptops and everything else that go along with the educational side of things, schools can now start providing for the athletes. This is a huge win for the college athletes. Now, this has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. Nothing to do with that. This just simply has to do on the educational side. And as you can imagine, Mark Emmert not happy.
Would we have liked to have our arguments carry the day? Well, of course we would have. And so we're disappointed in that part of it. But the ruling has to be read for what it really says, not how other people are interpreting it.
Well, how other people are interpreting it is that amateurism in college athletics is going by the wayside, and the NCAA is just getting taken down rung by rung.
Well, yeah, it's just a slow process, but the NCAA is archaic. They're reactionary, not visionary, and they've made money off the back of these athletes and lined their pockets with millions upon millions of dollars for a long, long time. And so I just think that it's time for these guys to be compensated. Now, I'm not saying millions of dollars. This is not professional athletics. But, they deserve something, for what they do for these schools because they bring in so much revenue. And that's it's the old quote. I thought about a quote from Coach Bryant one time. And he said, it's hard to rally around a math class. And it's not any disrespect to the academic part, but that's the reason there's 100,000 plus. Well, now they've downsized a little bit in the high 90s. But that's why so many people come to these games and spend the money on these tickets. So to me, and they deserve laptops and things of that nature.
Yeah, if a professor wanted to give said student, a football player or a basketball player, a laptop in their class to help do the work or something like that, an athlete could not accept that because it was
a stupid rule. That
it was
said
a
it would be a
benefit. Yes.
Yeah, even though it's in a class where you're learning, morons decide, no, that's an illegal benefit. Shut up. I mean, as usual, Emmert probably woke up and checked his shadow again, and they don't know what's going on. And so the NCAA has just basically been, a dictator for a long time. And I think it was a nice victory for the athletes yesterday, and it's just the first in several steps, in my opinion, of what's going to happen.
Justice Brett M. Kavanaugh did say that nowhere else in America can businesses get away with agreeing not to pay their workers in a fair market rate on the theory that their product is defined by not paying their workers a fair market rate. He went on to say, and under ordinary principles of antitrust law, it is not evident why college sports should be any different. The NCAA is not above the law. So the NCAA really getting a hit yesterday. But now what does this do for name, image, and likeness? It doesn't do anything yesterday for name, image, and likeness, but
yeah, I was asked about that, if it had anything to do with it, and it doesn't.
It does not, but here is where we stand on the name, image, and likeness thing. As I mentioned, it does take effect July 1st, okay?
Right.
There are states that have passed name, image, and likeness laws. Alabama is one of them. However, two things. One, if your state has not passed a name, image, and likeness law, the NCAA is not going to pass a blanket one in time for the said state to be a part of it. So if Alabama has already passed it, so Auburn, Alabama, UAB, Troy, South Alabama, all of our schools can participate in the name, image, and likeness stuff. Tennessee, I believe, has passed one. But if a state has not, those students cannot take advantage of name, image, and likeness. They're going to be left out. Now, yesterday, Greg Sankey is a part of 6 other conferences that want it to be left up to the schools now, not the state.
Individually, yeah.
Yes, they want each school individually to take control of a name, image, and likeness rule so that they can, I guess, overlook at it, they can monitor it, they can make sure that it's done correctly so that we don't get like this wild, wild west type of atmosphere going on, because there is nothing. Congress and the NCAA are not going to get something passed in 10 days. It's not going to happen.
Oh, no, not at all.
So it's the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, Sun Belt, the SWAC, and the MAAC, which is, I don't know what conference that is, but I don't know who's in that one, but I believe it's a 1AA conference.
Well, I mean, look, the NCAA's had all kind of time. They knew this was coming due to court rulings. Where have they been? Why don't they have a plan set up? That they're not, once again, reactionary and not visionary. And so that's my biggest problem with the NCAA's leadership. It was the same way with COVID. They ended up leaving it up to the individual schools. And now that's what it sounds like is going to happen with the name, image, and likeness situations. But, I mean, at least the schools like Alabama, the high-profile ones, Georgia, Clemson, they look like they're ahead of the game on this, and that they've been planning for it. But again, some of the smaller schools, you wonder how they're going to react to it, or what they're going to do. But I don't think it'll affect them as much, quite frankly, because I mean they're not going to be in the spotlight. And like someone told me yesterday, well, here's what a prominent coach. He said, "Look, here's what will happen. We just brought up the Steph Curry kind of situation at Davidson." He said, "Now what you may see." Is a young man like that stays a year and then transfers to another school, or if they make a run like in the NCAA tournament, for example, like Davidson did that one year to the Elite Eight, nearly making the Final Four before I believe Kansas beat them, then all of a sudden you could go pro because Steph stayed in school I think an extra year after that. But we'll see. It's going to be really interesting because everything, the landscape is completely changing. But the one thing I'll say, we've seen Roy Williams retire. We've seen Coach K announce a retirement after this coming season. It seems like Nick Saban's taking this bull by the horns a little bit. He signs a contract extension in Alabama. You're already hearing about Nick Saban hiring financial advisors or having them talk to his players and things of that nature because he understands that some of these guys on his team that are high profile are going to have a chance to monetarily capitalize.
It's almost like you get a sense of if you are in a small school, it's almost like the pros where if you're in a smaller market and you want to get to a bigger market to increase your brand, you wonder if some of these kids now with the one-time transfer rule, if you're playing in said small school and you have a breakout year, and I'm just going to use Akil Glass as an example at Alabama A&M. Had a phenomenal spring year. The Black College Football Player of the Year. You wonder if somebody like that at a smaller school on a group of 5 level has a breakout year, wants to increase his brand, wants to increase his outlook, uses his one-time transfer rule to go to a said bigger school in hopes of trying to increase it. If stuff like that is going to happen more often. You go to a bowl game as a sophomore, you have a great bowl game. Next thing you know, bam, you're at a Power 5 school to try to leave that small school behind. I wonder if that's going to happen.
We'll see.
7:20 here on this Tuesday morning. Let's get our first break in because we mentioned we were going to talk some college baseball World Series, and we will do that here after the break as Vanderbilt, what a game last night against NC State. Too bad somebody has to lose and the Commodores come up on the short end. But let's get a break in because Chris Lee will help us break it all down.
Yeah, NC State, man, hottest team in the country right now. And like we discussed on the show yesterday, probably should have been a 1 seed, Scott, and hosted a regional in a hindsight instead of South Carolina because they've finally gotten healthy. And they're in a zone a little bit right now, and they're 1 win away, really, from the championship series now. And they've got their pitching set up. They only have about a 5-man staff that throws most of the innings, but right now they're in perfect shape because
all they've done is beaten Kevin Kopps of Arkansas. They beat the Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year, Brendan Beck in Stanford, and then they beat Jack Leiter yesterday. They've won 33 of 42 since starting 4 of 9 and 1 of 8 in conference play. But Chris Lee will join us to break it all down coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck in the medical district, Governors and Franklin. It's on the inbound side. It's got a lane blocked up, no injury. Bob Wade in Northgate was a single vehicle accident. It ended up being a no injury. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device with no mask, no hose. Insurance accepted for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121. McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
You know it and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't in the budget. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low-mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties, a 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, before you leave in your Gold certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blades. Gold certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We should start the day with a fair amount of cloud cover, maybe a couple of early morning showers across the Tennessee Valley, but a lot of that activity will come to an end, and eventually we'll get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine, though temperatures are going to be a little cooler behind a cold front. Highs only hanging out in the mid-upper 70s. Some of us may creep into the lower 80s, but I'm more confident that many of us finish the day in the mid and upper 70s, dropping into the mid-upper 50s as we head into the overnight. More sunshine for your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
More intense than a Nick Saban press conference.
You sure you want to ask?
Your home of ESPN Radio. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Can't assume anything. I don't even know what you asked me, but I just wanted to say that.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, 7:25 on this Tuesday morning. We're talking College World Series baseball before the break. That's exactly where we're going to pick the conversation back up coming out of break as well. As Vanderbilt ran into NC State last night. During the broadcast last night, of course, they had to show Al Leiter in the stands. And they were talking about one of his most courageous, I guess you could say, extended pitching performances. And that was, I believe, against the World Series when he was with the Marlins. He threw 143 pitches in a game. And the broadcasters look at Jack Leiter last night, and they were like, well, there's no way he's even going to come close to that tonight. There's no way we're going to see him come close to that. I think he threw 123 pitches last night. Correct. And so, I mean, he came close to that, struck out 15, did everything he could.
Only
in the game.
4 hits, only 1 walk. He was dominant, but
The bats went ice cold for Vanderbilt.
Well, and NC State had a lot to do that with that with Sam Highfill and Evan Justice. Evan Justice has just been nasty out of the bullpen, and so Vanderbilt is now facing coming out of the losers bracket. But they have pitching. That's the one thing they always have, and I still think they're very capable. And our next guest knows better than any. He's, of course, the publisher of BandySports.com, which is part of the Rivals Network, and Southeastern 14. Please check that out. I was just reading their summary from Barry Allen, who is a longtime connoisseur of college baseball, a former SID for baseball at the University of Alabama and other, also football as well. But he's an encyclopedia for the sport of college baseball. He's part of their staff. And, of course, Chris Lee is as well. And Chris Lee is with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Chris, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott here in Huntsville.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning. Tough loss for Vanderbilt because Jack Leiter, unbelievable, still a 2.08 ERA now on the season. A dominant performance, but you and I were kind of discussing this last night via text. This NC State team really, after that 1-8 start in the ACC, has been as good as any team in the country, Chris.
They really have, and I don't have the record in front of me, but they went, they won 33 of their last 41 or something like that. And,
yeah.
And the ACC, look, it's not the SEC, but it's maybe the second best league in the country up there somewhere. The Big 12 would be in that discussion, the Pac-12. The point is, it's a really good league, right? And they played a conference schedule where they played, 4, I think? Correct me if I'm wrong here, on the weekend. But in any case, they played a lot of quality teams and did really well. And sometimes it takes a team a while to gel. They were, I think, 1-8 in the ACC at one point. Virginia's got a similar story. But sometimes with good players on good teams, and especially with the pandemic last year, where it just wrecked everything and, the continuity would have been developed wasn't there. I guess it's really not a surprise that you see a couple of teams that the trajectory of their season went the way it did, given all the factors coming into this year. But whatever the case, that team is really clicking, and I don't know that you want to face anybody in this bracket in Omaha right now, but certainly State has now eliminated Arkansas and put Vanderbilt on the brink and certainly served notice.
Yeah, 33 of 42 is what NC State has won coming in after last night. 33 of 42, impressive. Now Vanderbilt, though, as you mentioned, on the brink of elimination. We talked about it going into the tournament that Vanderbilt really set up well if they could get these 2 wins, because you would have had Rocker throw 1, Leiter throw game 2. Their pitching set up great for them if they stayed in the winner's bracket. Now they face elimination. How does it set up for them going forward?
Well, I think when you're in the losers bracket, it doesn't set up great for anybody, but the 2 teams in the tournament that can probably handle it better than anybody are Texas and Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And with Vanderbilt, though, there's a hit and miss element here, and I don't mean that literally, but I'll tell you what I mean. Patrick Riley is the guy they've not thrown yet, and I think Drew will remember this game. He pitched exceptionally well against Alabama. That was the game that Leiter was out, and he gave up, I think, 2 runs in 7 innings, but they were kind of clustered. Like if you'd spread the runners out, he might have had a shutout. Christian Little was phenomenal against Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. Best performance he's had. That was out of line with most of the starts he'd had. I think he had a good one late in the season against a lesser opponent. But, at the same time, sometimes these starts happen in spots. You can be a young pitcher and you're great one day, and you're not so great the next. So you don't know what to expect. But having said that, Christian Little's a kid who, had he let his career play out like most kids his age, he would have been a top probably 10 pick in this draft if he had chosen to go into it rather than to go to Vanderbilt a semester early. And so now he is, as a 17-year-old, probably getting ready to get the ball in the College World Series, I would presume. And so you got 2 kids who are freshmen who are potential first-round picks a couple years from now. But sometimes, that kind of guy has a 5 or 6 ERA his first year in school. So point to all this is they've got a couple of options at their disposal who are very talented, and sometimes that hits and sometimes it doesn't. And it's really going to be dependent on those guys to whether they can advance or not. They've got the talent, but they got to find the consistency, and that'll be really, I think, what's going to determine their fate from here on.
Yeah, it really will. And then the other game yesterday was the exact opposite of what we saw out of NC State and Vandy, which was a nail-biter pitchers duel. Stanford thrashing Arizona to stay alive 14-5.
It's the weirdest tournament because these games are either shootouts or they're like what we saw last night. So whatever your flavor is, there's been something for you in this. But, yeah, I mean, that bracket, Stanford, Arizona, NC State, I mean, I don't know, arguably the three hottest hitting teams in the country coming into this thing. So you certainly want pitching if you're Vanderbilt. And, again, the talent's there, but it'll just be whether who wins the day will be the arms or the bats. And for them, you hope it's the arms because the bats, are when they are on, they are pretty special.
Yeah, they really are. And then Tennessee, Tony Vitello, and the Vols. Some might say it was a little bit of stage fright in the College World Series, but this Virginia team is arguably right behind NC State as far as being on a roll. They enter the regional 3 seed in Columbia, South Carolina, and they end up winning that thing over the Gamecocks and ODU, and they get that done. And now they end up in a weird quirk because of COVID, hosting that Super in Columbia and beating Dallas Baptist. Really had to have a late grand slam in a 2-1 game to get to Omaha. But what a performance on the mound for them as they beat Tennessee 6-0. Tennessee was coming in on a roll, swinging the bats, but they were silenced quickly, Chris.
Yeah, I think Virginia is the team of the 8 out there that I would fear the least. But having said that, what they have is one of the best and hottest starting pitchers in the country, and Andrew Abbott, and that changes the matchup completely when he's on the mound. Unfortunately for Tennessee, that's what they got. A lefty who's maybe going to be a major league pitcher who just had it that day for the most part, and Tennessee, when it had opportunities, it just did not cash in with men on base repeatedly. And sometimes when you get on that stage and you've never been there, the anxiety takes over. Maybe that did a little bit with Tennessee, but you got to give credit to who was on the hill. And, man, that's going to be a very interesting bracket over there. I thought that Texas and Tennessee were the best 2 teams on that side. I had Texas coming out because of the pitching depth. They've got 3 really good starters and 4 or 5 really good arms in the bullpen. And frankly, Tennessee's got a lot of pitching depth. Tennessee's issue is I don't know that any of them are just, oh, my goodness, I just don't want to see this guy. But they've got 8 or 9 really good arms, which most teams don't have. I think Texas's arms are better, and that's why I'd probably take the Longhorns. But you got 2 really good teams sitting over there on that side, one of which is going to go home today.
You know, the one thing, we did not get the College World Series last year. So we didn't get to go through this. Major League Baseball, remember, moved the draft, and I was watching the World Series, and they kept saying, well, this guy's a projected pick, this guy's a projected pick. And I forgot, normally this time when these teams are in Omaha, these guys have already been said drafted. This is the first time that we've watched the College World Series, and we have not had the amateur baseball draft before the World Series.
Yeah, I could insert some snide comments about Major League Baseball right here. They should have changed that a long time ago. I'll just leave it at that. I'm glad they finally did. I hated that the draft. I really thought that would have been fun last year to have that in Omaha. I was planning on going and all that, and of course now they've moved it to the All-Star game, which is also not a bad idea. I kind of like that too. But in any case, I never thought it was fair to have that in the middle of when kids were playing. I mean, I remember watching Vanderbilt eliminate Illinois in a super regional, and the kids are huddled up on the field afterwards, and Dansby Swanson learns he's been the number 1 overall pick. And I just thought that was weird. You sometimes had guys literally getting drafted in the middle of games, maybe even during the middle of their at-bats.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the way that it was set up, and I was looking forward to the draft in Omaha last year. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But the draft at the All-Star break is also a pretty cool idea. And again, it's not when kids are playing, and I think that is good.
Yeah, no question about that. And now, as you said, coming up, a couple of big games in the College World Series. A very intriguing matchup, though. Two teams that pitched very well. We already talked about Abbott and Virginia, but what a performance by Mississippi State in that 2-1 win over Texas. A record with those two teams combining for 33 strikeouts on the mound. But Bednar, 15, and then Landon Sims, unbelievable. Now we're going to be following this very closely. Christian McLeod set to take the mound, the lefty from Huntsville High for Mississippi State in Game 2 against this hot Virginia squad. Mississippi State, they're probably at the top of the list, Chris, is the best program to never win the College World Series. A golden opportunity here for the Bulldogs.
Yes, it is, and McLeod is an interesting guy because I watched him pitch in Nashville. I sat behind home plate, and his stuff is really good. He's a lefty with a good breaking ball, and when he hits the corners, he's going to be really hard to hit, but when he doesn't get the calls, you see him get frustrated and then maybe start catching too much plate. It goes the other way quickly. I think that's an interesting matchup. If McLeod's on the rest of the tournament, you might say, given where everybody is in the bracket, that they're the favorite to win it. Virginia just has not been able to find a really good second starter. But having said that, those guys are still here. They have started I think 5 or 6 different guys in the NCAA tournament. Mike Vassell, who's their number 2, has pitched, I think, 3 innings in the NCAA tournament. I would presume there's some kind of an arm issue going on there, but I haven't seen it. So I don't know. That's an interesting matchup, but they've got to have McLeod on if they're going to win this thing, and that's just kind of been a hit and miss thing with them. But boy, when he is, he's very, very good.
Well, and we know their lineup, though, at State is capable. And with Virginia's issues beyond Abbott, they could get the bats going today. That would be huge.
Yeah. And the bats, they just seem to have the knack, Virginia does, for getting the right hit at the right time. You got Kyle Teal, who's probably going to be a top guy in 2023, that's really had some big games. I think had a grand slam for them against Dallas Baptist. The Geloff brothers have hit the ball pretty well. There's some talent in that lineup, too. If you start looking at who's going to get drafted and where, Virginia, like I said, I think of all the teams that's gotten here, it's the least accomplished. But you look at what the pros think about these guys, there's a lot of pro prospects on that team. And really the same for Mississippi State. There's a lot of arms on that team you could see in the majors. Landon Sims, I think, certainly is going to be one of them. And the bats, they've got Tanner Allen and Rowdy Jordan. I don't know that Jordan's much of a pro prospect. Allen is to some degree, but they're really good college hitters. And the issue for State was just finding guys behind them, which they started to do later in the year. State's kind of a hard team to figure, but because they ended the regular season so poorly, and I just wasn't sure if they had enough lineup depth. And as good as the pitching depth has been, you've had Bednar's been really good, and you've had Sims has been really good, but we talked about McLeod. They can't find a third starter, so I think that's really interesting because it's hard to tell where that one's going to go today.
It really is.
It is interesting. We'll see if Tennessee, though. I said coming in, I even thought that the ballpark TD Ameritrade was going to play so much different for Tennessee than what it did in their regional and super regional. This is a much, much bigger ballpark. And if you can't be a situational hitter, you're going to struggle sometimes when you get to this World Series.
And the other thing for Tennessee is their 5 and 6 guys do not hit lefties much at all. And that's where they kept running, getting the train derailed against Virginia. Is they'd get a couple of guys on from the top of the order, and then they'd run into Lipsius and Evan Russell. They're good players, but again, against lefties, they just have not been very good, and that's where those innings kept getting derailed with strikeouts. So I would presume they'll get a right-hander today. I haven't seen the pitching matchups, but maybe that's the thing that flips the script for Tennessee. But I think that's a very good ball game. The problem for the Vols is that just Texas is so deep on the mound. so deep on the mound. And I don't know who they'll get, but Texas has got the chance to whoever they throw to send 3 or 4 really good arms against Tennessee. And that's just not the spot you really want to be in when you're playing for your life in Omaha. But having said that, the Vols are certainly good enough to get past today. And I think that's going to be potentially one of the better games of the tournament because you got 2 great teams fighting for their life, and I cannot wait to see that one today.
What do you think the chances are that Vandy can come out of this losers bracket and challenge NC State? Or in your mind, as I know you cover Vandy every day, but you also have Southeastern 14, is NC State inevitably going to get to the finals now, in your opinion, or how big a shot does Vandy have to come back in this deal?
Well, what's the stat they showed last night? I think it's 75 or 80% of the teams that win this thing win their first 2 games. So
right,
that's a good starting point. The issue I have with them, they're absolutely good enough to get through. Well, 2 issues. One of them is the inexperience. You just don't know what they're going to get from Little or Riley. They're both really good, but they're also going to be facing elite hitting teams. So there's that. And number 2, their lineup just isn't hitting right now, guys, and really hasn't for 4 or 5 weeks. And sometimes that just happens where it changes on a dime. And you've seen them have some big scoring games. And if you look across the year, it was a good offense. But they weren't putting together good at-bats last night. Now, the pitching is going to get probably easier rather than tougher from here on, and I think that helps. But, history says that their chances aren't good. I think even with their pitching, I agree with that because you saw what happened last night. That Jack Leiter was just special and didn't win anyway. I don't really like their chances at this point, but I wouldn't rule it out either just because they've got so many good arms. And I think that their hitting really is bound to get better. I think they're too good a hitting team to hit this badly. But, man, that's quite a hole. And you've got NC State up there that's going to get rest. They've got 5 or 6 good arms who are durable. They've got an experienced lineup that can just hit the tar out of the ball. I just think it's really tough for them. I thought if they had won last night, you can almost go ahead and pencil them into the finals. I think that task got a lot tougher after today, and I just think you have to like NC State's chances given the way this thing sets up.
Final question for Chris Lee, VandySports.com and Southeastern 14. It's kind of hanging there like a specter. People were tracking plane flights and things of that nature. What do you make now of where LSU is going to go? Mike Bianco going to stay at Ole Miss, signed a contract extension. We're not hearing anything about Cliff Godwin right now. Are they focusing on Tony Vitello?
I don't know. They've been all over the map. Scott Woodward's thing is he wants to make a big splash, and I think he tried it with Tim Corbin. And I guess until they make a hire, you never rule that out. But I think that's extremely unlikely that they're able to get him. Vitello's name has come up privately. I've not heard him mentioned as strongly as some of the others, but I also haven't checked around in depth in the last week or so. So I don't know now that Corbin is probably not much of a possibility if Vitello has risen up their list. The guy that has come up lately is Jay Johnson at Arizona. And
interesting.
Well, and here's what's interesting too, guys. He makes, I think, something like $350,000.
Oh boy.
LSU could add an extra 0 to that pretty easily, I think. And
easily.
For most people that makes a difference. So I don't know where they're going to go. I mean, you've got plenty of candidates out there. A lot of times you see a team that settles on a guy, and the best example, I guess, would be Alabama football. 15 years ago, or how long it's been, and that they wanted Rich Rod and they didn't get him, and they ended up with this guy named Saban who's done pretty well. Point is, there's a lot of pretty good candidates out there. I think sometimes people get fixated on one, and sometimes that works out, sometimes that doesn't work out. I have a feeling they'll find somebody good. I don't know where Godwin stands in their pecking order right now, but that's a good job. It's a little crazy at times. I think the pressure and expectations get a little out of whack at times, and I thought Paul Maneri did a better job than he got credited for doing by that fan base at the end. But I don't know, Johnson's an interesting one just because I think that they can make him an offer that's so much more than he's making where he is. And I just wonder about Arizona's ability to match that, given what it's paying him now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, great stuff as always, my friend. We look forward to following your coverage from Omaha, Nebraska, as the Vanderbilt Commodores still alive. Got to come out of that loser's bracket. Of course, also following Tennessee and Mississippi State. Let everybody know how to connect with you in VandySports.com and Southeastern 14.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at 14 Southeastern. You can find us online at southeastern14.com. All our coverage has been free. We cover baseball, basketball, and football. I haven't covered much football yet because we're concentrating with what's in season, but as soon as things are over in Omaha, that script is going to flip also. So follow us there. You can also get our podcast wherever you get your podcast. It's called The 14 or the Southeastern 14. We do those most of the time 5 days a week during the weekday. We'll take a little bit of a break during the off season and maybe go a couple of times a week. But in season, it's a 5-day-a-week podcast, which I don't know that anybody else does that with the SEC. Just try us, you'll like us, and give us a listen and a rate and review and subscribe and all those good things that help us get noticed.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
really
Chris.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we got to get to a break. We're behind. We'll finish up hour one after this.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And a couple of wrecks, governors in Franklin and Bob Wade in Northgate, that should now be cleared up. Everything else looking good, traffic level heavy. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. Popeye's 3-piece snack is only $4.99. You get 3 pieces of crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeye's University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
The Braves are out to defend their division crown, and every game matters as the ballparks fill up again.
And it's hit high in the air to deep left center field. You can forget about this one. You want to talk big fly? That's a homer for Ronald Acuna.
Tonight, don't miss another big-time division showdown from Citi Field in New York as Ronald Acuna and the Braves take on the New York Mets. Braves Radio goes on the air at 5:55 Eastern, 4:55 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Ann Adams. Ann, I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th Annual Harris Poll Equitrend as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. Great companies in Huntsville, Alabama, winning awards is what we want. Is it a great time to list your home?
Yes, it is. The inventory is low and the market is heating up.
And I understand you're also looking for agents.
I am. We are so busy, Wes, we need agents to keep up with the demand.
Ann Adams and Rise Real Estate has been doing business in North Alabama for the last 35 years. If you want to do business with someone you can trust, she has been writing contracts since she was 9 years old. Call Ann today at 256-337-2625.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. I hope all of you are well. These are trying times we're experiencing right now, and I want you to know that we at Baumhauer's are committed more than ever to providing a legendary dining experience to everyone. Everyone is important to us, and everyone is welcome. Please allow us to serve you in a way that makes you feel safe, appreciated, welcome, and special. Because we're all special in the eyes of the ones and the one that counts. God bless.
Guys, when we were 20, we never had to worry about spontaneity. And now that we've gotten older, spontaneity has been replaced with pills and injections. We're just trying to keep that intimacy, but it's taken away from spontaneity. At Advanced Life Clinic, we now offer GainsWave, which uses sound waves to non-invasively treat this issue with no need for pills or injections. Just give us a call, 256-888-9367, or check us out online, advancedlifeclinic.com.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Nothing beats a great burger to help celebrate the 4th of July, and at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we couldn't agree more. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then now is your chance to sink your teeth into one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers for half price. Our Zone deal this week gets you $50 worth of delicious burgers made with premium Angus beef for just $25. Log on 977ESPN.com beginning Friday morning and get your Bad Daddy's Zone deal before they're gone.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey, I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Hey, I'm on vacation.
All right, 7:53 here on Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It's our Tuesday edition show. Not much time left to go in the first hour. Phone lines open to you, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And we want your phone calls, your opinions this morning. Problems for Tennessee and their freshman quarterback, Caden Salter.
Man, he's
he
been off suspension at one time.
Yeah, just gets reinstated.
Yeah.
And now facing a charge of marijuana possession along with Amari McNeil, another freshman offensive lineman. Salter was stopped around 3 a.m. on Saturday for no taillights and a covered registration. During the traffic stop, he allegedly admitted to having marijuana in the car and telling McNeil to throw it out the window. It was then that Salter was arrested and charged with simple possession, which is a misdemeanor offense. Now, Tennessee does, they are aware of it. Josh Heupel and company are aware of it, but not good for Salter, who just got off of being suspended from the spring. And
goodbye. That's what it would be with me. I'm sorry. If you can't stay out of trouble, you've already come off one suspension and you get in trouble again, you just need to go somewhere else and restart your career.
I mean, he was projected, not projected as a starter, but projected as someone who could potentially come in and be a face for that Volunteer offense. Maybe not start the season, but maybe halfway through the point or something?
I doubt it.
Not anymore, but he was, though, at the beginning, though.
He's never given himself a chance, man. As soon as he early enrolled, he's gotten in trouble twice. So, to me, if you're Josh Heupel and you're trying to build a program, I ain't got time for this. He didn't recruit the kid anyway. And so, he just needs to start fresh somewhere else. Just like we talked about at the beginning of the show, and this one I think is due to coaching change, but Hal Presley at Auburn,
right,
who he hit the transfer portal because he's from Texas. He was recruited by Chad Morris, who had a lot of contacts there. He enrolled for a short period of time at Auburn, but has already left. And I would be shocked if he's not going back to his native state. I think he chose Auburn over Baylor. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up with the Baylor Bears. And he was a guy that I think Auburn thought had a lot of size and potential, but I think there was probably a disconnect there due to the coaches that recruited him moving on. Though it might be something to watch, though, with Cody Burns, the former wide receivers coach at Auburn, who had gone to UCF for a very short period of time before following Josh Heupel to Tennessee.
Well, this is the second time that Salter was arrested or stemmed from a misdemeanor drug charge. That's what got him in trouble the first time when three Vols were arrested for misdemeanor charges and suspended by head coach Josh Heupel. That was the spring incident. So now this is two incidents of the same thing. So as you're probably right on. I mean, his time in a Vols uniform is numbered. I mean, he probably will not see the field for Tennessee. He probably will not be in the program when fall practice starts.
I would surprise me, honestly, if he is at this point in time, now that we've had yet another incident with this kid.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We are just about done with hour number 1 here on Talking Ball. Coming up on hour number 2, Steve Robertson is going to join the show as we talk about Mississippi State and their run at the College World Series. They are 1 win away from staying in that winner's bracket. Can they have a better fate than Vanderbilt had yesterday? We got to talk about 5 programs that Rival says they are the furthest away from winning a national championship, and all 5 are big-time programs. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2.
Yes, we do, and the Atlanta Braves, as you heard here on 97.7 The Zone, they split a doubleheader. We'll talk about that. I think it was big, though, to get that split when you think about who they faced in game number 1.
All right, guys, a lot to get to in hour number 2. Talking Ball continues after we pay the bills.
Braves are out to defend their division crown, and every game matters as the ballparks fill up again.
And it's hit high in the air to deep left center field. You can forget about this one. You want to talk big fly? That's a homer for Ronald Acuna.
Tonight, don't miss another big-time division showdown from Citi Field in New York as Ronald Acuna and the Braves take on the New York Mets. Braves Radio goes on the air at 5:55 Eastern, 4:55 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. We're working with a clean slate now. Haven't picked up anything new accident-wise. Everything from earlier should be out of the way. You be careful. We're going to have a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode trying to make it in this morning. Is the ocean breeze calling your name? Is your body swimsuit ready? 2030 Fast Track can show you how to lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks, just in time for the beach. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We should start the day with a fair amount of cloud cover, maybe a couple of early morning showers across the Tennessee Valley, but a lot of that activity will come to an end, and eventually we'll get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine, though temperatures are going to be a little cooler behind a cold front. Highs only hanging out in the mid-upper 70s. Some of us may creep into the lower 80s, but I'm more confident that many of us finish the day in the mid and upper 70s, dropping into the mid-upper 50s as we head into the overnight. More sunshine for your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This Action Update is brought to you by Keeps. Tired of losing your hair? Get 50% off for your first order at Keeps.com/VSiN. Keeps.com/VSiN.
The Stanley Cup semifinal series tied 2-2 between the Canadiens and the Golden Knights. Game 5 tonight. Vegas -240 on the money line. Montreal at +200. The over/under 5. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3 will go down in Las Vegas on July 24th. Opening odds have Fury the favorite at -300. Wilder +235. This is the first time in the trilogy that Fury is favored to win. Tonight, Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers at the Suns. Phoenix is 6-point home favorite. The over/under 224. Suns lead the series 1-0. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow with the Bucks a 7-point favorite at home over the Hawks. I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It's hour 2 of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2, but we said we'd take your phone calls to kick off the hour, and that's exactly what we'll do. Let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and we've got Terry on the phone with us out of the gates of hour number 2. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Morning, Terry. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. First-time caller. I listen to you guys every morning.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate the support.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I got something I want to run by you on this name, image, and likeness, and
sure.
This ruling that they just had in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do away with scholarships? Because that's what it's going to come down to. Let's just call them contracts. And these schools will have a cap just like pro teams do. And they just these athletes, they're supposedly not amateurs anymore. So let's just treat them as professionals.
Well, in a lot of ways, Terry, you're right. I mean, I think a scholarship already is a contract, because the thing is, scholarships and coaches make this point, and we kind of were referencing that with the Caden Salter situation, is they're renewable every year. Now, it's changed. It used to be when you signed a scholarship several years ago that it was a 4-year thing. But now, each and every year, the scholarship must be renewed, so it's almost like a 1-year contract.
Right. And let these student athletes, which are now going to be professionals, sign these contracts, make them get agents, and whatever, these colleges have caps just like the pro teams do, and they whatever the contract is, they have to pay for their own tuition just like all the other students do. Have to pay for their tutors, their dorm rooms, their food, everything else, just like all these other students do, and let them handle it, because they're being, as of right now, I know that these football players, they get held by the hand. They got people telling them what they need to sign, what classes they need to sign up for, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just let them handle all of it themselves, just like every other student. But they're getting compensated because they're making the school all this money.
No, they are. And the thing is, and I don't think a lot of people understand, though, too, and Greg Byrne did a great job of telling Aaron Suttles this in a recent Athletic article, that if you are on a full ride at, let's say, Alabama, because that's where Greg Byrne's at, and he says this, if you're in a full ride of Alabama, out of state, receiving Pell Grant, you're close to getting $30,000 a year in pocket, cash, tax-free. That's what you get if you are on full scholarship for football there at Alabama. They spend about $147,000 a year per student athlete. That's included. That's your food, tuition, board. Yeah. He goes, we don't fly. He goes, we fly charter. He goes, that's including all the charter flights and everything else that they pay. So $147,000 per student is what they're already getting.
Exactly. But supposedly they're going to make. They want it both ways. They want this free stuff, which I can understand that, because they're making the schools all this money. I can understand them getting compensated, but it's got to work both ways. It can't be they get everything. So if they want to be treated like adults, if they want to get paid for what they contribute to the school, then they need to do their part. They need to pay their taxes. They need to hire agents. They need to pay for their own tutors. They need to go buy their own books. They need to do all that stuff, just like every other student. If they want to get paid for playing football or basketball or baseball or whatever it is, then they need to be treated like somebody else that goes and gets a job.
Good points. Good points.
Good call, Terry.
Thank you. Terry.
All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, Terry brings up an interesting conversation there, and that is, and here's the thing: the universities, Auburn has one, Alabama has set one, Florida State, Clemson, all these schools have set these programs up for athletes to go and take advantage of name, image, and likeness. The school cannot do that themselves. It has to come from this program. Nick Saban cannot tell you what to go do. Brian Harsin cannot tell you what to go do. It all has to come from this program, and that's where Greg Sankey wants the schools to have that individual right to be able to control all of this, because there's a lot of people that, I mean, and Lenny Acuff told us this one time too, that these guys are getting this money tax-free right now. Anyway, they're getting these $30,000 Pell Grants, and they're pocketing this money tax-free.
Yeah.
These athletes are not paying, I'm not saying every athlete, 1 through whatever, 125 on the football team. Not every athlete is getting that money. If you are all, it's the ones that are on the full scholarship amount and getting the Pell Grant at the same time. Not everybody is getting that. But if you are, you're pocketing $30,000, up to $30 or $20 or $15,000 tax-free already.
Well, yeah, and the way I look at it with the name, image, and likeness, I think it's going to be tweaked. I do think there'll be certain high-profile athletes that can, monetarily capitalize. But I still think it's going to be a small percentage, Scott. I mean, I really do. I don't think.
You think a lot of this is getting just completely?
Well, I mean,
exaggerated a little bit.
I don't think it's being overblown, but I'm just saying I don't think it's going. In other words, it's not going to affect the landscape that much from the stand. And what I mean by this, Alabama's still going to be Alabama. Georgia's still going to be Georgia. I'm talking about football. Clemson's still going to be Clemson. Ohio State's still going to be Ohio State. It may help. If you have the right kind of infrastructure and or wealthy boosters, it may help a program that's not considered a blue blood hold on to some players if they can capitalize on their name, image, and likeness while they're in college. But I still think when the system is ultimately set up, the haves are still going to benefit much more than the have-nots. And what it's basically going to do, I think, to me, maybe it might even lead to a few young people deciding to stay in school. And, now, millions, because we're not talking the millions you get from professional athletics. So the bluest of the blue chips and the first-round picks are still leaving. But maybe some of these people and some of these young folks that declare that are fringe, that you always end up going, like a Jeffrey Pagan from Alabama, years ago, who Nick Saban thought should have returned to school, could have made millions as coming back as a senior. He left after his junior year, was a 6th-round pick, and didn't play a long time in the NFL. Played a few seasons, but hey, I mean that's what I'm saying. Maybe it'll lead to some people saying, okay, I've got enough money in my pocket to stay in school, and where I don't have to be chasing the money all the time. And in other words, listen to your coaches. If you have the right infrastructure in the program you're at, or if you have that free reign to transfer one time, you can transfer to another school maybe for a higher profile opportunity to perhaps be a high draft pick. So it's going to be interesting, no doubt about it. I do think it's going to change the landscape, but I don't think it's one of these things where it's just, I guess, ground shaking. I'm not as convinced of that yet. I want to see. I'm still in a wait and see mode from the standpoint. I want to find out what the system is that they ultimately set up. Is it going to be state to state? Is it going to be university to university? So I think we still just need to wait and see what happens. But again, it's major. But in some ways, I think some people are kind of overreacting to it.
All right, a couple quick recruiting notes real fast. Josh Pack wants our opinions on Cooper Manning. I believe he's visiting Alabama again.
Arch Manning.
Or Arch Manning visiting Alabama. I believe is it this weekend he's visiting?
Well, yeah, he's going to be in town. He's going to be coming to Tuscaloosa, yes. And, it's a major visit for Alabama. There's no doubt about it. There's talk of Texas being in the lead, Clemson, could Alabama after the visit. It's way early because, he's just going into his junior year of high school. But certainly Alabama is a major factor for Arch Manning. I don't think there's any doubt about that. You hear much more buzz about those big three than you even do the Ole Miss, which is, of course, where the family has so many deep roots.
And then Mobile Faith Academy 4-star linebacker Shamar James commits to Florida. Is Alabama out of that race?
No, because Alabama never pushed for Shamar James. I mean,
okay.
We've got some Gators that listen to this show, and they're probably throwing things at the radio right now because I'm saying that, but it's the truth. I mean, I'm not sure he could commit to Alabama at this point. I think they like him a lot. I think they're going to continue to still recruit him. Could they go back in and flip Shamar James from Florida? I think potentially it could happen, but I'm not sure it will. But as we know, Florida has already done a nice job of recruiting the state of Alabama because Kadarius Toney from Blount, they developed him into a first-round pick as a wide receiver to the New York Giants. Jeremiah Moon from Hoover turned into a really nice player for them. They've got some guys on their football team. They've recruited, the state of Alabama really well in the recent past. Dan Mullen's starting to pick it up. They're in on some high caliber football players. And I think Shamar James can be a really good get for them. I think it was, and I think he's someone that Auburn may regret not being able to sign. And I think that's what Florida's done lately a lot. They've been able to get in and get some guys that maybe Alabama didn't have room for, or that Alabama decided to go national. Maybe take a kid like I think Alabama wants a Nye White, who's basically just like Shamar James is an edge player,
right?
And is really considered the number one pass rusher in the country out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And a lot of people think Nye White is leaning heavily to Alabama, including myself. So I think right now, Alabama's probably going to choose a guy like a Nye White who's a little bit bigger than Shamar James. Shamar's 200 pounds. He needs to add weight to his frame, but there's no doubt he can run. There's no doubt he's a great athlete. And there's no doubt, in my opinion, that that's a good get for Florida. But it just may be right now that Alabama's got some guys higher on the board than that young man.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the phone conversation this morning as well. Major League Baseball update, the Atlanta Braves. They ran into Jacob deGrom yesterday. A lot of people have run into Jacob deGrom yesterday.
They tried everything they could. They had him checked out for banned substances, and
he was the first thing. He's the first Major League Baseball player to be checked by an umpire for a foreign substance.
They checked everywhere.
And it was hilarious.
Under the hats.
The commentators, though, were the best because they were like, "Well, what do they want him to do? Take his belt off and drop his pants?" I mean, it was funny listening to the New York guys talk about it.
But somebody does that, where it's been a while since I've seen a pitcher have to get basically just inspected like that.
Well, that is part of Major League Baseball's new crackdown, is that umpires can do this now.
I remember way back in the day, I don't know if you remember this incident with Joe Necro, the brother.
Throwing the Emery board out of his back.
He's like,
he's throwing it.
And you see the Emery board just fly out. I mean, it was so classic. It was so funny.
I don't think we're going to see things like that in Major League Baseball, but it's funny listening to the guys, sunscreen. You got to be careful now where you put the sunscreen on and how you put the sunscreen on. And we've all come to learn the term spider tack. That is the word, new phrase of Major League Baseball is spider tack. But nonetheless, his ERA stays at .50. After baffling the .5 is his ERA.
I just saw this ridiculous stat where I don't think he's given up a run in his last, or earned run, in his last 30 innings pitched.
Let's see here. Yeah, it's he extended his scoreless streak to 30 innings. You're right. He lowered his major league leading ERA to a .5. 2.50 right now. Now, he pitched. It was a 7-inning game yesterday. He pitched 5 innings. He only threw 70 pitches. But still, though, I mean, to go out there and you throw 5 innings and your ERA is 0.5.
I mean, Kyle Muller pitched pretty good, the rookie for the Braves, the lefty. I mean, he held his own. It's just right now with DeGrom, he's hard to handle.
Mets win Game 1 4-2. But thank goodness Atlanta does have Ronald Acuna Jr. because he has supplied a lot of their offense in the last couple games. They win Game 2 1-0, so they split with the Mets yesterday.
Yeah, they do. 1-0 win, and it was a big win for the Braves, no doubt about it. They had to have it, I think, because the Mets are leading that division, and the Braves are showing signs of life. I mean, they took 3 out of 4 also from the St. Louis Cardinals. So you look at that, they've taken 4 out of their last 6, and that's a step forward considering they just looked so bad last week at times. So the Braves starting to pick it up, and Will Smith getting out of that bases loaded jam last night. Scott, there was one out, got a line out to Austin Riley. There was nearly a double play, and then he was able to get the pop out to Ozzie Albies to preserve that 1-0 win for the Braves.
All right, so that's your Braves information. So Atlanta back on the diamond, I believe, today, taking on the Mets once again.
Yep.
And 6:10 first pitch for that one. Mm-hmm. Braves still 34-37, 3 games below 500. The Mets 37-30. One of these days, we're going to cross Atlanta off that list. There's only 3 Major League Baseball teams this season who have not been above 500 this year. Atlanta, one of those teams. So we're hoping that Atlanta can cross that mark off their list with a run here, because the trading deadline is about a month away. So we're about a month away from that trading deadline. We'll have to wait to see where the Braves are going to be headed as we get closer to that deadline.
Yeah, we are, no doubt about it. But speaking of baseball, Mississippi State, we've already talked about the huge contest they've got tonight in that winner's bracket. They win 2-1 Bednar with an unbelievable performance, 15 strikeouts. Landon Sims adding several of his own as they combine Texas and Mississippi State for a College World Series record, 33 strikeouts. I believe Sims had 6 of his own.
Yeah.
But
Mississippi State had 21 total.
21 total, which is a record, I believe. And what a performance by them. And now they have a chance, if they can subdue Virginia with Christian McLeod from Huntsville High School, the lefty on the mound, as you heard Chris Lee earlier in hour 1, they've got a chance to really put themselves in the catbird seat to make the finals of the College World Series. But who better than to discuss it from Gene's page and 24/7 Sports, and that is Steve Robertson, who is knowledgeable as they come with the maroon and white of Mississippi State. And he's going to join us next when we come back from break here on Talkin' Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Good morning. Inbound traffic moving along nicely now. We're dealing with a heavy traffic load, and we got a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode, but we don't have anything on the board accident-wise. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device, insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Doctor visits are important. Please don't put them off. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You know it and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't in the budget. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. A 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, before you leave in your Gold certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blades. Gold certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000 square foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
Nothing beats a great burger to help celebrate the 4th of July, and at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we couldn't agree more. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then head on down and try one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers now. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer. Celebrate your 4th of July and enjoy a little freedom from the grill with a trip to Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway between Bob Wallace and Governors.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
All right, 8:25 here on this Tuesday morning. Let's get right down to some more college baseball talk coming up at the College World Series tonight. It's the prime time game. It is the winner's bracket game. That is Mississippi State and Virginia. And if you're watching this one from Omaha, we've talked a lot about the North Alabama, the Huntsville talent.
Yes.
Jordan Beck was out in the field for Tennessee. We had North Alabama talent on the Texas roster. We had North Alabama talent on, I believe, we have it in the Mississippi State one, I know for sure.
Yes, 2 Huntsville High pitchers on that staff. Christian McLeod, Drew Talley. Also, last year when COVID stopped the season, Justin Foscue from Grissom High School, and of course Tanner Allen, the SEC Player of the Year from Mobile and Faith Academy, and Rowdy Jordan from Auburn. They have done a great job of recruiting the state of Alabama. But Mississippi State, as we've said, to me probably the preeminent baseball program to have never won the College World Series. They've come close many times and now have a chance to be in the catbird seat tonight. And we're certainly going to be rooting hard for Christian McLeod from our community as they take on Virginia. And who better? He's in Omaha. I'm envious and jealous right now. He's also a published author, Stark Villains, Alpha Dogs, which is his latest work, and of course Flim Flam the book, and that is the co-publisher of GenesPage.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and the Boneyard podcast, and that's Steve Robertson. I hope I covered it all, Steve. How are you? You're with Drew and Scott.
Well, I actually have a new book out. It's not sports related. It came out June 7th called Blooms of Oleander. That is actually a book of poetry and inspirational sayings and that sort of stuff. And so a little something different for me. But, yeah, you got the rest of it. I should take you on the road with me.
Well, I mean, Steve, do you ever sleep?
Speaking of on the road, yeah.
So many books now.
Now, it's funny. I'm just a guy that I get bored easy. And so I'm always trying to find something to be productive. And during the off season, I'm always working on stuff and, trying to get ready. I get a little, I guess I got a gypsy soul. Like whenever the season's over and we're not on the road, I kind of get stir crazy. So I try to find something to do that kind of occupies my time. But I'm happy to be in Omaha. This is the last road trip of the year. And it's so amazing to be here. And I always tell people, until you've been, you can't fully appreciate how amazing it is. I tell people it's the happiest place in all of sports because, there's probably fans of maybe 50 different schools here that aren't even participating in the tournament, because it's such a great event. And you owe it to yourself to get out here one day and check it out.
Well, Mississippi State did their part to make sure everybody was happy on Sunday.
Yeah, it was
21 Ks against Texas, 15 by the starter. What a pitching performance to give Bulldog fans something to be happy about at the happiest place for baseball.
And, Steve, tell us how electric. That crowd just seemed like it was unbelievable for that game against the Longhorns.
Yeah, and what's the truth about it? It's because a lot of people say, this baseball's boring. Man, it was so intense because everybody was hanging on every single pitch. Sometimes when games get a little separation, the crowd kind of gets out of it. Not with this one. It's like, and then everybody realized, wait a minute, this Bednar kid's got something going here. So then the people that maybe weren't fans of Texas start cheering for Will Bednar. It's just so electric.
And considering the stakes, Steve, is that the most dominating performance you've seen out of a Mississippi State staff? I know it was, of course, Bednar and then Sims, but 21 punch-outs. And then the stat that I took from your notebook that we were just talking about off the air before you came on with us, they have tied now the all-time college baseball record for strikeouts for a staff in a season.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about that. But, they're one away now from setting it, and then they're guaranteed to play at least 2 more games, so they could really put this thing away. And they're also believed to be on track to break the national record for strikeouts per 9 innings. And, when you've got that dominant pitching, you better win it all. Let's just be honest with you. When in hindsight, people are going to say, man, I bet with all those guys, I bet they won the whole thing. Well, you better. It's like you look at this, the way this thing sets up for Mississippi State right now, I don't think State could have asked for a better opportunity. I think Virginia is a really cool story, but I just don't think they have it. I don't think they have what it takes to win this thing. Now, belief is a difficult thing to defeat. When somebody starts thinking, well, we're a team of destiny, sometimes they start playing that way. And I think Virginia has not really been tested in the postseason. And I really said the same thing about Texas. Texas really hadn't played anybody in the postseason, but you see Ty Madden come out there and pitch a gem like he did. Bednar was just better. But, Virginia is one of the last teams to get in the tournament. You have some upsets out there. They play South Carolina and Old Dominion there in the regional. South Carolina, obviously a second half team that got hot. It's kind of middle of the pack in the SEC, and Old Dominion, the regular season Coosa champ. And then you have the upset where Dallas Baptist wins their region, so you've got a super regional there in Columbia. And so I just don't think UVA has seen what they're going to see tonight from Christian McLeod. And Christian McLeod is on, and he has proven to be a very good road pitcher. I think Mississippi State wins this game with some margin. I don't think it's a 2-1 ball game.
Yeah, what a difference, though. The super regionals, both Bednar and McLeod, they kind of struggle in their starts. Mississippi State fortunate enough to get by Notre Dame, all tough series. Bednar comes out in that first game, strikes out 15, and you would have to think McLeod should follow that performance up tonight with another solid outing.
Well, you hope so. The thing we noticed with McLeod, and the numbers are incredibly variant here, and he's a better pitcher on the road. I think his ERA is like 2.56 away from Duty Noble Field. Most of his big punch-out games been away from Duty Noble Field. I think some of that has got to do with the expectations. It's like, when you're at home, it's like you got everybody's around, everybody wants tickets, and, your girlfriend's around, you got to spend time with her. I think when you go on the road, it's kind of that us against the world mentality. And I think he has benefited from that. And to be fair to him, too, he's also had a couple of starts against some really good teams in Starkville that, it didn't really matter about locations, it's about the competition. But he's also been great every other start, which is incredible to look at his numbers. And so if that's the case, he should be on schedule for a good showing tonight. But I just think I'm a Christian McLeod fan, and I know that he's had some up and down this year. But, when he's needed to step up in big moments, he has, and I think tonight won't be any different. And this is a great matchup for him because he is a fly ball machine, and UVA doesn't have a single player with double-digit home runs. And so I think that'll allow him to kind of work his game and not quite be so careful about somebody running into one.
Well, and then Abbott is an outstanding lefty for Virginia, but they've had a little bit of trouble finding consistent starting pitching after him, Steve. So you would think the offense from Mississippi State, as you said, you feel like it could be not a 2-1 ball game tonight. This lineup, especially the top of that lineup, those big three led by Rowdy Jordan and Tanner Allen, could take advantage tonight.
Well, if you read the notebook, you saw what I wrote. Of the 7 teams still playing college baseball, Mississippi State has struck out the fewest number of times.
That's huge,
and it's really not close. Yeah, and then they're going to throw Griff McGarry, who was 0-5 with a 6.06 ERA, but he's kind of found a little something in the postseason. And again, that goes back to what we talked about. I think really that's about the quality of the competition, going down. In ACC play, he struggled a little bit. Well, then you play a Coosa team and you play, a Dallas Baptist team. They're good teams, no disrespect to them, but they're not on the Power 5 level for a reason. And so I think this is a good matchup for Mississippi State. McGarry is a guy that throws a lot of velo, and that's what Mississippi State wants to see. They want to see a hard-throwing right-hander much more than a left-handed junk baller. I mean, those are the guys who've kind of given State some trouble because, State does have some left-handers in the order. Scotty DeBrule, Tanner Allen, Luke Hancock, Kellen Clark. I mean, half the lineup is left-handed. And so now you're going to have a power pitcher going against some really power bats from the left-handed side. And you've got Rowdy Jordan as a switch hitter. So I think this is a good matchup for State. I don't think McGarry goes long in the ball game. He is a guy with electric stuff when he's on, and he can throw up to 100 miles per hour. But as I had a conversation with Ben McDonald yesterday that I'll share with you, I think it's remarkable. He said it's all about spin rate now, and he said in the Major League Baseball right now, everybody's doing analytics and all this kind of stuff with the baseball and checking spin rate. And he said, Steve, 5 years ago, if I had said, hey, would you rather have a 100-mile-per-hour fastball with a 2,300 spin rate, which is the average spin rate in MLB, or would you rather have the Ethan Small 90-mile-per-hour fastball with a 2,600 spin rate? He goes, well, you'd say the 100-mile-per-hour one, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Because the swing and miss rate on the 100-mile-per-hour fastball with a 2,300 spin rate is just under 9%. The swing and miss rate on the 90-mile-per-hour fastball with a 2,600 spin rate is almost 12%. And so it's not so much today about velo, and you see those big numbers up there, but it's about spin rate. It's about guys who can really spin the ball and kind of disguise the pitch. And so I think this is where Christian McLeod can go work his game in this thing here, and McGarry probably, I think he plays into Mississippi State's strengths.
Yeah, and if they get this win, it's so important to get to 2-0 when you get to Omaha, Steve.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. Mississippi State has been here 3 times in a row, and one time they won game 1, and we won game 2, and this one time they didn't. But both times they were out of the tournament pretty quickly before they got to the end of the bracket. I don't think Mississippi State could have asked for a better tournament so far because of who they've played and how things have broken loose. I mean, I think Texas was a great matchup early on, and then the fact that Tennessee gets upset, they're going to play UVA, who is a team playing with house money, and so you feel good about your side of the bracket. And then on the other side, you see Vanderbilt drop a ball game. Now they have to work through the losers bracket, so even if you play them in the final, they're going to be a little bit arm-weary, or they should be. And so I think State's got a great chance to win this thing, and obviously there's a lot of people back home and a lot of people here in Omaha that are they're hoping State wins it. But I think if they win this thing tonight, I don't think there's any question they're going to be playing for a national championship on Monday.
Wow. It was funny because coming in, everybody was talking about how Vanderbilt or maybe Tennessee were the hottest teams, or Texas. Outside of probably the SEC little bubble, I don't think a lot of people were mentioning that Mississippi State had that potential to get there.
Well, there's a lot of people that enjoy college baseball that don't know college baseball. And so a team like Tennessee and a team like Arizona, their offense does not lend well to this park. And I know that we've had some balls leave the yard, but that's the exception rather than the rule. And if you see in the night games, again, they're all very close. You know, there's been the afternoon games where you've had the offenses really explode. But there are a lot of teams that are launch angle offensive teams. And so they're so reliant on the long ball. Well, that's just not going to happen with regularity here in Omaha. Even with the winds blowing out, it's still tough to get one out of here. I know in game one, I think they had 5 home runs hit, and everybody's like, oh, maybe it's not going to be that way this year. Well, the park has kind of corrected itself. And so you better be able to play baseball when you get here because you're not going to be able to play home run derby. And so there are going to be some days where the wind shifts. I mean, just in that ball game last night, the wind shifted 3 times. And people joke around up here. They always say, well, is the wind blowing out today? They say, give it to 15 minutes, you know. So it's always blowing somewhere. And so there's a crosswind in the stadium. So you better go up there looking to hit line drives, looking to work gap to gap, looking to string hits together because you're just not going to go out there and victimize pitchers with home runs.
And I know you've been able to see the tournament in its entirety in Omaha. Talk about the run for NC State. I thought when I saw them in their regional, of course, Alabama was sent out there and at Louisiana Tech, and then what they did at Arkansas, that they were someone that had been underseeded and had gotten hot at the right time. Is after what you've seen, is that in your mind who we may see Mississippi State face if they can get to the finals?
I think as long as the moment doesn't get too big for them, they're the surprise of the tournament, man. And I love it. I think it's great for college baseball. And how great would it be to have, say, Mississippi State, NC State, the 2 teams that have never won it, play for a national championship.
Yeah, that would be
good
neat.
for the game. But, yeah, I can't believe how well they're pitching it. And it's like if you go back and look at their numbers and you say, yeah, these guys are legit. But now they're doing it on the big stage. And let's be honest, when we saw Arkansas smash them in game 1 in the Super Regional, everybody's like, oh, look at the ACC, look at NC State. Those guys could have quit, and most people would have. Mm-hmm. And they come back and they win game 2, and everybody's thinking, okay, now they got Arkansas's attention. Arkansas smashed them in game 3. And what do? They go out and have an even better pitching performance. So this is a team that clearly has some mental toughness about themselves. They're not scared of the moment. That's the thing I think that when you see what this happened with this group is they have found something down the stretch, and they believe it is their rightful claim to go win this bracket. And they absolutely shut down Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not as good as offensively as they have been historically. They've got some guys that can hit the baseball, but they don't have those power bats. I guess outside of maybe Carter Young, Gonzalez a little bit, they just don't have that J.J. Bleday type that you've got to kind of pitch around. But NC State really looked good last night. I was very impressed, and now they're just kind of sitting around waiting now. They'll wait for the winner of the losers bracket to come back out, and they're in a great position. And I think they're capable of winning their next one and then setting their pitching for next week. And so I do think NC State is in a great position here, and I just don't know if there's anybody on that side of the bracket that's going to have enough pitching left to shut those guys down.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a great night, hopefully, for Mississippi State. Christian McLeod, lefty, the junior from Huntsville, Alabama, taking the mound, hopefully putting Mississippi State in position if they can subdue Virginia tonight to make the finals of the College World Series. We know you're going to have blowout coverage, Steve. I hope you're eating well. Scott loves the food over there. He's,
the breaded pork tenderloin sandwich.
Well, define eating well. Eating plenty or eating healthy.
Well, it's not healthy. I'm going to tell you, it's not healthy.
No, sir, it's not. It's
the
size of a manhole cover.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been great. I say every time I come up here, I always try to eat local. I try to stay away from the franchises and that sort of stuff because there's just so many great places up here. And again, I think it's all part of the experience. And as electric as the atmosphere is at TD Ameritrade, I mean, Omaha's just a great town. I hope they never move the tournament. It's just so perfect here. The weather's great. the people are great, and they take a lot of pride in hosting this event every year.
They certainly do. Well, we look forward to following your coverage. Let everybody know how they can connect with you, Steve, and good luck to the Maroon and White. We certainly hope they bring another win to the SEC and to Huntsville tonight.
Well, bottom line, we need Christian McLeod to go out there and pitch well. And, as long as he doesn't walk people, I think it's going to be a great night. And they can find all our coverage at genespage.com. We are the Mississippi State affiliate for 247 Sports, and I'm on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R.
Thank you for the time, Steve. Enjoy it.
We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Steve. So I did look because I wanted to see the difference between Rosenblatt, which was the old stadium in Omaha, versus TD Ameritrade.
Right.
You ready for this? The ballparks are the exact same dimensions.
Now, I mean, because when they first opened
in 2000,
Ameritrade, they moved the fences in.
According to in 2010 when it opened, they're the exact same dimensions as TD, or both of them are the exact same dimensions. 335 to right field, 375 to left, 408 to center. But remember, the NCAA deadened the metal bats a few years ago, about almost 10, 11 years ago. They deadened the bats because it just became like a home run contest.
Well, gorilla ball, if you're in the late 90s.
Yep.
I mean, you would see Mark Pryor, who I know you know very well, who's now a pitching coach in the major leagues, who was with the Cubs and was a first-round draft pick of the of Southern California. And that you would have games. I think one year the national championship game was I want to say something like, I don't know, 18-11 or something. I mean, it was just
you were never out of it with those metal bats. You could hit a home run easily.
Right. Yeah. And so there was so many high-scoring games.
All right, let's get our final break in. When we come back, tomorrow's headlines today, and we'll get to your phone calls to wrap up the show.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We are wrapping up in good shape this morning. Haven't picked up anything new accident-wise. We got a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode, so you want to watch out. You're going to be in a pretty big group if you're making that last run in this morning. Right now, though, looks pretty good. You be careful. Popeye's 3-piece snack is only $4.99. You get 3 pieces of that crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeye's University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff, and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
The average shift is 52 seconds. If you get into a minute 10, minute 12, your legs are burning because they get out there and they go like hell. You're talking about skating and doing the other, the stick handling and everything else, but your legs just are on fire because you go so hard.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey. I miss the Knicks.
Listen to the Big Dog, weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
We love our pets, and when we need boarding or vet services, we want the best. That's why we chose Paradise Pet Resort and Spa. Everything our pets needed, all in one place. Boarding for both dogs and cats. Doggy daycare, grooming and spa services, web cameras, and top-notch vet care, too. It's a true Paradise Pet Resort for your furry friends, serving all of North Alabama. Find out everything you need to know and book services online at ParadisePetResortandSpa.com. Located in Madison, just off 565 at Wall Triana, behind Cracker Barrel.
The Braves are out to defend their division crown, and every game matters as the ballparks fill up again.
And it's hit high in the air to deep left center field. You can forget about this one. You want to talk big fly? That's a homer for Ronald Acuna.
Tonight, don't miss another big-time division showdown from Citi Field in New York as Ronald Acuna and the Braves take on the New York Mets. Braves Radio goes on the air at 5:55 Eastern, 4:55 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
When we say local, we mean local, not Birmingham.
Loser.
We are the only sports talk station in Huntsville. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Your tomorrow's headlines today, obviously, we will talk about the College World Series tomorrow. We'll spend more time on that. Obviously, you want to pay attention to the weekend as well as college football recruiting. A lot of guys taking visits to campuses, continuing to doing camps, continuing to take visits, continuing to take offers. We'll continue to keep you updated on that kind of stuff as we kind of move along as well. You'll have your NBA playoffs tonight as well. The Western Conference Finals, Game 2 between Phoenix and the LA Clippers will be tonight. No Kawhi Leonard, no Chris Paul in that one. So those are some things to keep an eye on as you move around a little bit on the national landscape.
Yeah, Devin Booker coming off of that epic 40-point game in Game 1. The Suns, what a story they are. I mean,
yes.
They could make the finals for the first time since the days of the great Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley, that lost to the Chicago Bulls. So the Suns on quite a run in the postseason. I've enjoyed these NBA playoffs because teams I hate are losing.
And we've talked a lot about the College World Series, and so I got to looking. And everyone always asks.
I screwed this up.
There's a couple things here. Before we get to the score, there's a couple things. Everybody always wants to know why it's played in Omaha.
Yeah.
Because it's been there since 1950. Mm-hmm. There's only 3 years before that the College World Series was not in Omaha. In 1947, it was in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And then in 1948 and 49, it was in Wichita, Kansas, before making its home in Omaha. Now, yes, we call it the World Series because Major League Baseball has the term World Series trademarked. It is on license from Major League Baseball to the NCAA to call it the World Series. So that is why we do call it the College World Series for baseball. So, and then we were going over the scores, and you were right. 1998.
Yeah, it was
Southern Cal.
Southern Cal and Arizona State, but it was not even 18-11. It was 21-14. They hit the extra point. I just remember it was a crazy final, and you talked about the late great Mike Gillespie. He is the last coach from Southern California to win a national championship that season. And it's been kind of crazy. USC's baseball has fallen on hard times. We haven't really seen them be a national factor in a long, long time. But I do remember that team. I do remember those days. That was the Gorilla Ball era.
Yeah.
Alabama went 3 times from 96, 97, and 99. LSU was dominant back then as well. And Alabama hasn't been since that 99 season. Crazy, but it's definitely on the bucket list. I envy Steve Robertson now that Mississippi State's been 3 times in a row to Omaha. It's got to just be a great atmosphere for college baseball.
256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Aaron Suttles had a chance to sit down with Greg Byrne in The Athletic and did a great article. Among the topics, though, was the financial shortfall for Alabama during the COVID vaccine, the COVID effect, COVID-19 effect, and the shutdown and everything. And Alabama faced a $75 million revenue shortfall because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Alabama was able to find $22 million in savings along the way, but they did have a $75 million shortfall. And Alabama fans can rest assured he did not chase either the ACC or the Pac-12 commissioners' jobs. He let Aaron Suttles know that he did not chase any of those. And as far as the transfer portal goes, this is a great article. He touches on the transfer portal, and he says basically, hey, we're going to look at this in the future, and we're probably going to have to adjust it because there's a lot of things that are going to play out that we haven't seen, and we're going to have to adjust it. And he says, I think they just need to give it time. But, yes, he's in favor of a legislation effect to adjust the transfer portal. And as far as the Nick Saban contract extension goes, he said that Coach Saban's energy level is high. He's hopeful as long as he's physically and mentally wants to be there. He is going to be there. And they started talking shortly after the season ended, and they had it worked out, he said, pretty fast about getting a contract extension for the coach. He said he's appreciated the support of President Bell and their trustees to move this forward. So some interesting stuff there from Aaron Suttles, sitting down with Greg Byrne, going over a lot of topics, including name, image, and likeness, and what Nate Oates accomplished last year. So and even a Coleman Coliseum question, and he says that is a subject people like to talk about. So a great article there from Greg Byrne.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Aaron Suttles does a great job for The Athletic. He's been a frequent guest on this show. Greg Byrne has done a great job leading Alabama's athletic department. There's no question about it. I think he's the best AD that I've seen during my time following the University of Alabama. So well-rounded, taking care of football, we know that. Yep. But certainly hiring Nate Oates, signing him to 2 contract extensions. I think he's going to get something done in the foreseeable future, basketball-wise, with a new arena, whether it's a complete refurbishment of the Coleman Coliseum or building a new one. Certainly that's going to happen. He's done a nice job hiring Brad Bohannon and continuing for Alabama baseball to take steps forward and improve. And, of course, make enhancements, just athletic department-wide, also to the Rhodes House and keeping Patrick Murphy at the University of Alabama. So certainly outstanding leadership from Greg Byrne.
All right, something we didn't get to mention yesterday, and we probably should have, and that is Auburn true freshman wide receiver Hal Presley has entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, a 3-star recruit in the 2021 class. He is not even going to suit up for Auburn. The Texas native previously committed to Baylor before backing out and then picking Auburn over USC. So we'll just have to wait and see where he ends up that way. Don't forget the Atlanta Braves will be on tonight after the drive. They're going to take on the New York Mets in a big game for the Braves because if you look at the standings, the Braves can ill afford to fall behind the Mets. I believe they are 5.5 games, if I'm right. 5.5 games behind the Mets, 5 games behind the Mets, 7 games behind the wild card. So you can't afford to lose tonight to the Mets.
No, it's a big series for Atlanta. They need to continue to make headway. They need to continue to pitch well. The pitching has been better lately. Certainly, it wasn't bad even against Jacob deGrom. He's just on a different level. So the Braves need to continue to get strong starting pitching. We've seen Ronald Acuna and his magic, but Freddie Freeman has been much better lately. He has been on a nice tear. And so the Braves overall, this is a huge game tonight for them to try to continue to stay close with the Mets. And again, it's a long way to go. They're still definitely in the wild card race as well.
Over the last 10 games, the hottest team in the National League East, the Washington Nationals. They are 8-2 in their last 10. 3 games under 500 are the Nationals. Braves are 3 games under 500, but the Braves have a better percentage of .479. The Nats are at .478. So there you have it, the hottest team. The hottest team in baseball right now is the Houston Astros, and they have won 8 in a row, and they continue to lead the AL West over the Oakland A's by 1 game. The Trash Pandas parent team, the Los Angeles Angels, 36-36, 500 on the year, 8 games out of the top spot in the West.
And I just want to congratulate Jeremy Crutcher and the Hazel Green Trojans. They win the Big Red Shootout yesterday over at Huntsville High, the second annual event. They've got a great basketball team. They beat the Oxford Yellow Jackets in the final, so a great final over there. We had some great basketball over at Huntsville High. I want to thank Steve Robertson live from Omaha. Thank Chris Lee. A lot of College World Series action tonight.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here on The Zone.